Hello and welcome to Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. So here's the double doors. So as we come in through the door, we'll start off, I'll just give you kind of a quick sweep around. And I know this can be it can be quite tricky on the eye if it's done very quickly, so I'll try and do it slowly, fairly slowly. You can see that the greenhouse it's certainly not full, but there's quite a bunch of things, and I've learned from my last one to turn all the fans off because it becomes rather inaudible when I don't. So this is my pride and joy over here. This is Nepenthes Rebecca Soper, which I believe is a cross of two of the, I don't know whether the species or the, I don't know all the terminology yet, because like I did point out, I am still learning this game. So yeah, these pictures are fabulous. I'm really pleased with them. You can see all the, I guess it's nectar, some kind of sweet liquid on there to attract the insects, and then they fall in there to the slippery death. So I've got two of those. I did split it off. So let's just go back. So yeah, Nepenthes, I'm planning on getting lots of those. I've got another one on the way. Ooh, wow, I'm excited. Look at this, it's about to open. I've been waiting for this Oncidium Shari Baby to open for, I think, most of my life, it feels like anyway. I went away in August and I was thinking that it was going to flower while I was away. Gosh, how wrong I was. I've waited all this time because it actually, you know, the spikes were up and it looked like it was about to do something, and then nothing. It's carried on growing, but very, very, very slowly. But of course the plus side to that is that it should be in flower for a long time, and everybody raves over Shari Baby because apparently it smells of chocolate, and I don't know anybody who doesn't want to smell chocolate. Come on, get real. So Cambria there, this one's been wonderful. Again, it's just flowered and flowered and flowered and chucked loads of flower spikes up. Forget what it's called, Borragera. These blooms are fading on this one. Dendrobium Sarnuk Thailand Black. What else have we got? Oncidium Sotoanum, smells very nice. Again, chuffed to bits with this Zygopedilum. Another one of those. See it and think, got to have it. I was told that this filled the greenhouse with fragrance, but well, it's certainly not doing that. It might do that if the sun actually comes out and shines on it. But so far, the most fragrant is actually this one. That did fill the greenhouse with fragrance when the sun was on it. This climber in the corner, I forget what this one's called, so I can find the label. Dipladenia Sandera. That's done fabulously well. That's been again in flower all summer long and most of autumn, and doesn't show any signs of slowing down at all. It's actually going all the way up along there to there, and that's where it finishes. Oh, just there, that's it. Okay. Now, I'm a big fan of ferns, so down here got one or two tropical ferns, but remember the criteria for the tropical greenhouse is it must be non-hardy, it must be tender, and it must die if it gets touched by frost. We've got some cyclamen. Shari Baby still looking brill. We've got both spikes together there, kind of holding each other up. I think I'm getting a little bit more scent than I was previously, but for some reason, whatever this Shari Baby one is compared to other people's, it just doesn't seem to have the scent that other people do, which I was really disappointed over. But I mean, how can you be disappointed in those flowers? So that's changed since the last time you saw things. Non-orchids, carnivorous plants, pictures on these looking really good. you can just see on that one, you can wobble it about, can you see the liquid inside? Now, I've not put that in, that's just there automatically, it does it itself. So this is Nepenthes ventrata, supposedly one of the easier to grow ones, more vigorous ones. It's not put much growth on since I bought it, but again, you know, we're out of season, aren't we? That's been in flower absolutely ages. The Brassia still looking brill, and I can still detect a nice faint smell of, I was going to say old folks home. We don't call them old folks home in the States, do you? I know it's not a very nice care home. That's the word, isn't it? We call them care homes these days. I'm just showing my age there, but it really smells of like if you would go to one of these National Trust properties and you go inside and they've got all this old furniture. That's what it smells like. A little bit bizarre. And we've nearly got an Oncidium sweet sugar. Nearly. Waited a long time for that. Cephalotus, still looking brilliant. All these lovely little pictures. I know they're not orchids, but you can't deny that's not a nice thing to look at. Look at that big one there and all the red colour on it. It's just that they just fascinate me. I just think how something like that could have evolved is just an incredible thing. Plumeria still looking good, and that yellow leaf. I know it's still looking yellow, but I don't think it's looking as bad as before I had the lights. I think the lights have made a difference. Mastervalia, loads of blooms on it. This is Snowbird. I definitely want more of these. They just seem to do so well here. I mean, I've not even repotted it yet, and I've had it. When did I get it? I don't know if I've written on it. That's something I definitely need to do. Everything I buy, I need to write a date on it. I've had it just short of 12 months, I think. And I've shown you this. Still looking superb. Oncidium cinnamon twinkle. That smells. I mean, I know it's higher up to the Sherry Baby, and it's just kind of at nose level for people when they walk in. Not my nose, but for everybody else's noses, mine's much higher. Other Sologeny, Speciosa, still looking great. It just keeps pumping out these flowers. It's been in flower now probably a couple of months. These are all new blooms again, and there's another one coming there, so I'm quite happy with that one. This is the best position to see it, looking upwards. Oncidium sweet sugar, looking fab. I saw one at the last Orchid show, Society show, and mine looked better. Should have taken it, shouldn't I? I keep avoiding taking these things because I always think somebody will have a much better version. That's going to be repotted when it's finished, because I did get I've got another bulb from it that I took off when I first bought it, which is, I wonder if it tells me. No, I can't get it out, it's too tight in there. Again, it's quite a while back, it's well over 12 months ago, probably nearly 2 years now. And I wasn't really I wasn't at all very keyed up on how these plants grow, and I took some of the bulbs off thinking it was a good thing. I planted them in another pot, and now I've just got two separate ones, which is no good, so I'm going to put them back together again. A couple of cyclamens still going strong. Gorgeous berry odour, couldn't remember the berry odour. I'm getting some nice fragrance off it. Dawn and dusk, try and show it low down. Always worth a close up. Outside, if you're wondering why I'm dressed with 24 layers on and a hat on, it's actually about 3 degrees outside. Oh, because the sun's going in. It's about 3 degrees outside, and it's a sunny day for once, and the wind's blowing quite strongly, so it really does feel very, very cold. I guess the wind chill factor will be below 0. But in here, and this is the benefit of the sun being higher in the sky as we approach March, the sun is actually hitting probably 3/4 of the greenhouse roof. So over here on the cold side of the greenhouse, the inverted commas cold side of the greenhouse, it's 17.3 degrees, which is wonderful, even though it's below 3 outside. Over in the warm side of the greenhouse, it's above 20 degrees. So that's going to really make a difference. The sun's coming out again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you around, and I'm just going to show you a couple of updates before I talk to you about the sink and tell you why I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, so I said I would give people an update on this Mastervalia Ignia. Don't need to pick it up really, do I? Most of the blooms are out now, and we've got rather a large number of blooms on there. You can see it's looking spectacular. That one's not quite out yet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and at the bottom there are, it does kind of sporadically, and there's, no, I think I've counted that one, another one down there. Don't know if that's a bloom or just a leaf. No, there's definitely a bloom there in the middle, maybe 12. It does sporadically keep popping them up. I mean, the snowbird that I've got over here, this has been in bloom for months now, and every time I think it's about to finish, it pops another one up. So yeah, the Mastervalia Ignia, it won't win any prizes, because I guess these things have got to be nicely balanced, symmetrical. As you can see, they're all kind of over on this side, but whereas that one over there will be on that side. But I mean, it's an amazing colour. I just can't get over the colour, and especially with the yellow at the back there. I'm not very good with colours. I don't know, is that a compliment or is that a contrast? I'm not really sure. I always think there are no colour clashes in nature. Well, not if you've got my colour recognition skills, which are pretty non-existent. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful plant. So that's the Mastervalia in more or less full bloom anyway. So I probably will divide that at some point. This Epicatleya with a big long name. Another bloom spike on that one. It's just come, not very long since. Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. Well, it's very unusual for us. It's 32 degrees Celsius in here, so tank top has arrived and the woolly hat has gone. And if you're wondering why I've not had a video for a while, it's because we have a new arrival, a new puppy, and anyone who's ever had a puppy before will know that it's like having a baby that doesn't keep still and that moves around very, very quick, much quicker than you can. And well, it's pretty full on, that's for sure. So I've just been keeping the greenhouse ticking over, but let's have a look at what's in bloom for August. Let's jump in. So I don't know if I've shown you this before. This is a Boston fern, and it's 32 degrees in here at the moment, so you would expect it to be struggling a little bit, but actually it isn't. It seems to be doing much better now in the heat than it was when things were a little bit cooler. Now whether that's the light or not that's causing that, I don't know. I know you've all seen this a million times, but let's just have another look and take in and enjoy my my Mastervalia, because that's the name, the proper name for it, as I think we've established now, the Mastervalia Sanderi. It seems to have stopped in terms of where it's travelling to. It's kind of travelling about halfway across the roof there. It's just hanging on in there. It's been there for a couple of months now. A little foul. Based on somebody's advice, I have took off some of the moss off there to kind of let them have a bit more aeration, a bit more ventilation for the roots, in an attempt to stop these from going yellow. They are the older leaves actually, and honestly they are not as yellow as they appear on the video. They are pretty green really. The new ones are looking okay. That's my phlebodiums. Now some people seem to think that phlebodiums, because they're ferns, they need a lot of water, and in actual fact phlebodium is one that doesn't. It actually thrives being more on the drier side, and it takes most of the moisture in through these furry rhizomes here. So don't worry about yours being overly dry. And actually I found with mine, especially this one that's in this like really tight pot, I hardly get any water down into it. It just kind of sits on the top and then flows over, and it doesn't mind at all. And when you do overwater them, you can see they really kind of droop. They don't like it. These spores on here are getting really big now. It'll be interesting to try and pot some of them up and see what they're like, because I was reading about phlebodiums. Well, not just phlebodiums, a lot of ferns. They have this really weird kind of life cycle, and once they germinate, they don't form little plants straight away. I can't remember the exact term for it, but they turn into like this weird kind of a formation first. I must do a video on that actually, because you know what they say about the best way to actually learn something is to teach it. It makes you learn about it, so I think I will do that as a video. I know I've got a lot of fern lovers on there. My Nepenthes Burkii, this one here, this picture's kind of buried itself in the media, and I believe this is what they do. This is what they do in the wild. They don't just kind of dangle like that. Certainly the basil ones don't. They sit in the soil, you know, wherever they are on the ground, and that will partially bury itself in the soil and the moss, and that way they stay upright. Of course, as the plant starts to vine, then they produce different pictures part way up the vine, and they have the mid pictures and the upper pictures. Past my Griffon, my begonia Griffon. I know it's now Griffon, not Gryphon, because Griffon is referring to a griffin. It's just a different spelling to a griffin, which is this mythical creature, and that apparently looks like the wings of this mythical creature, and it actually really does. Another Phlebodium there, that's the Phlebodium aureum divana. The Pelargoniums aren't looking as good now, but they will come into bloom again throughout the summer. Here's my Silamontana, looking nice, probably ready for another kind of snip back and start it off somewhere else. This is looking its best now. So this is my Kaleri Brazil Gem. Now that is a really nice plant, isn't it? Beautiful colour. I don't know if it's coming out on the video. Really odd with these things, because they produce these flowers quite low down, and then they suddenly produce these longer growths with blooms on them as well. Now why would anybody not grow Kaleria? I'd never heard of them. It seems nobody else has either. If you're into gesneriads, that is a beautiful one to grow, in my opinion. Where are we? Another Kaleria. That one is Sunshine. Again, it had some really low blooms, and then it's produced this big tall stem, and it's putting them out at the top. Again, beautiful, beautiful plant. Nepenthes Fusca, another hairy Pelargonium, and my Mastervalia Sanderi. They were the three cuttings. I'm still waiting for that one to start vining on its way. So we have the Streptocarpus, that one's going over a little bit. We have the Encyclia radiata, still providing lots and lots of scent despite the only few blooms. The Nobile that's going over now, they need pulling off really. What have we got? We've got that one is polka dot purple. We've got Katie, we've got Crystallice just coming into its own now. We've got our Pelargonium Arnside, what was it, Aztec? Arnside, Aztec, oh, I can't remember, whatever. Look it up. We've got Katie there. We've got beautiful, beautiful Epidendrum there. Got a video on that if you've not seen it. Beginning to go over a little bit. And I'm glad to say this one's come back. I did do a video on this one, didn't I, way back in the spring. So this is my Borregia Isla Swiss Beauty, and even though it's not absolutely superb looking at the moment, because it's still got a few of the blackened leaves, it's producing some nice blooms. Scent is fantastic, especially in this sun, and you can see all the new growth on the periphery there, all the way around the edges, which is providing some nice new roots. And I can see right in the centre there next to the label there is another spike coming, so I think that one can be considered a rescued plant. The Dendrobium Nobile Star Class Apollon, as we think it now is, these blooms are beginning to go over, but there's another load coming just there, so that's giving me plenty of bang for my buck at the moment. Really like this fern here. Again, I must do one on this one. You can see the different colours on this fern, and see the new leaves, see how bronze they are, and they really go quite big and stay quite bronze. So this is Pteris quadriorita. I've had that since May, and I'm hoping to repot that one soon and try and get it to grow a little bit bigger. Another fern there. Over to the begonias. This one is my Luxurians. It's not going to be in that pot for long, is it? I do love the red stem on that, and I've took some great photos of this. If you don't follow me on Instagram, get over to the link in my description and you'll see some fab photos of my begonia luxurians. So what else have we got over here? Of course, the poor old Mastervalias are struggling in this heat. Another of the begonias. This is the fuchsioides. Some nice blooms on the end there. Again, they're not spectacular, but we are aiming to get this, if you saw the begonia video, we're aiming to get this into a multi-stemmed plant. Now, I don't know whether the pictures that I've seen are multi-stemmed because the same plant has been made to be multi-stemmed, because sometimes when you snip them off at the top, they don't only just branch out, but they also start to produce some shoots from the base. Or it's the case that the ones that I've seen are just lots of them planted together. I don't know, maybe anyone can inform me of that if they've been growing this plant for a while. Begonia curly fire flush, you can see where it gets its name from now, the curl there, and the new growth is fiery red all down the stem there, and there's a new little fiery red leaf. Beautiful plant there. Gorgeous DS Aramis Streptocarpus there, and the caramel one, DS Caramel. Another little begonia here. This is a new one that you've not seen. So this one is, what is it? Boweri. That doesn't get particularly big apparently, and it has a nickname of something to do with eyelashes, because it does, see these little eyelashes all the way around. Very cute. I like that one. And a new one, finally, a new harlequin has finally begun to bloom. That's the first of the harlequin varieties, and I've had these since like March. So this is Streptocarpus harlequin sapphire, and you can see why it's called sapphire, or you can if you see it in real life anyway. It's a beautiful sapphire colour, and I've got loads of these different harlequin ones, and that's the only one that's bloomed yet. But as I've seen from the crystal ice, they don't all bloom at the same time. So these are also, this one over here is also harlequin, and they're showing some really good signs of growth. That one's got a bloom coming now, so that one should come soon. Another begonia, so that one is, what's that, Mason or Masonian, can't read it from there. Masoniana, begonia Masoniana. You see it's kind of warty. Like a toad, that one. Again, I've not had these very long. I've got those little tiny plants from a garden centre, dead cheap. Now look at this one. So this is a pinguicula, and look at that pretty little bloom there. I don't know if it's, there you go, is it focused? So this one is, what's this one? Pinguicula, can't see it from that side. Cyclosector. I thought it wasn't going to do much, this one, because it was so small. That one did bloom last year, and it looks like it may start to come very soon. A couple more begonias, silver jewel, silver lace, listada. I like that splash in the middle. It's quite, what's the word? Kind of fluorescent. Here is fudge, so meet fudge. Now I know this is nothing to do with what's in bloom, but I thought you might like to see him anyway. This is why I've not been putting as many videos out recently. So fudge is a Maltipoo, which is a crossbreed between a Maltese and a toy poodle, and it took me 51 years, nearly 52 years to get my very first pet, so I'm very excited to introduce him to you. This is what he does for most of the time when he's not causing chaos. He's 8 weeks old at this point, and he's great fun. He's extremely fuzzy. He's just like a fur ball. So some changes. That's still looking nice, the Habenaria Medusa, and I will do a repot on that. It is a new one. I've only had it a few weeks, and it already had a spike on it, so I'm going to be doing a repot of that at some point, but I thought I'd let it bloom first. And I don't know if you did catch the video I did on that one. They do have a completely different way of looking after them to most orchids, totally different. In fact, it couldn't be more different, but it's going to be really good to have a go of it. It looked like something that, when I looked at the care needs, it just seemed to fit with the care needs that I can provide in my greenhouse. So that's going to be great. I got a new one very recently, a couple of days back. Ta-da! I've not got one of these. I keep trying to go for things that I don't have an example of. I've never even heard of this one. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Bilara or Bialara, Purple Princess, bought on the 23rd. I've only been here 3 days, so I haven't repotted that one yet. Again, I'll let the blooms, ever so slightly fragrant, I'll let that do its thing. Layer Amseps, looking forward to that. Mastervalia Sanderi, the hint of pink one. I did mention at some point that it didn't have any pink in it. Well, it has now. That's definitely, I don't know if you can see it on here, but it's definitely got a hint of pink. I think it's got a hint of slug trails, slime on it as well. But notice it's got a nice climbing vine, which is what I want, and that's heading off to there because I want it to. Oops, I'm just about to knock over the watering can. There we go. I thought I would have had a wet foot then for a moment. So it's going to go off over there and kind of mingle in with the red one. Now, something that did cross my mind quite recently. Oh, this one, by the way, did have quite a nasty attack of aphids, which is strange. The other one never has, but this one, a new one, and it did. But I had to give it a spray. I don't even know what it is, but it's quite a new one. It's one of these. I ordered it off Dibley's and then proceeded to totally forget about it, and they arrived because they only tend to send them every, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. Figure out what that says. Eschinanthus hot flash. Yeah, no direct sun. It's a trailer. Mustn't go below 12 degrees. Really nice blooms on it, and hopefully, I kind of just stuck it there for the time being. Hopefully that will kind of trail down there on that trellis. These begonias going crazy. Look at that one. Now this one this is begonia fuchsioides. I did pinch it out at the top not because I wanted these to grow, but because I wanted it to be multi-stemmed, and everybody says this is what it is, it's a multi-stem plant, but yeah, nothing. I've still got the single stem. These are going to have to go on the floor in a bit, and it's the same with the luxurians. It's going nice and tall, looking brilliant, but no, that's not the same. It's the same as in it's looking brilliant and it's really tall, but I didn't want that to be multi-stemmed. And look at this Tradescantia. This is Tradescantia fluminensis Nanook lilac. And really, they're only supposed to put this kind of growth on kind of springtime, but this one's decided to do it now. Look at that colour. Isn't that really nice? You've got to get underneath it to see it. But even the tops are quite nice. None of the others are doing that. The Tradescantia Maiden's Blush is just a bit of a I mean, look, it's just green leaves. There's nothing on it at all. It's not dead. It's still growing very slowly, and I believe that come springtime I should get my lovely pink colour back. So this one is Kalahari. That one's Rachel from Garden at Duenza. That's her favourite. This one is DS Aramis. Obviously that one's gone a bit there. That one's going over. This one is, I think it's Caramel, is it? Yep, DS Caramel. This one is Harlequin Dawn. This is a brand new one, just opened up for me. I've still got the big label on this one. These have taken ages to get going. They've literally only just started blooming now, and I've had them since early spring. So that one's Harlequin Blue. It needs a new label in it. I've just not got around to doing it. I think I've got, that was a new one, but you can't really see that one because it's going over. I'll just move round. This one is just opening up for me. So what's this one? This is another DS one. DS Frippit. That's a strange name, Frippit. It's not really opened up properly. It's just kind of partially opened up. And you can see down here, I've got more of these DS that still haven't really got going yet. I'm sure they will pretty soon. I've brought this fuchsia in because it's just getting absolutely battered by the winds, and I love the blooms on it, even though, like I say, this one is, I've only just literally brought it in about half an hour ago, and it needed watering as well because the winds had just dried it out and it's looking a little bit wilted. But I've decided to keep this in the greenhouse now because I want it looking full of blooms like it did before, and I just love these. I love this colour and the kind of structure of this bloom, so I want to get it back to its full glory if I can. So another one, Streptocarpus DS1126, very imaginatively titled. Oh yes, and before I forget, now this one was mentioned by Michael, one of my subscribers. Streptocarpus dunnii. Now what's interesting about that? Well, I'll tell you what's interesting about that. there's only one leaf, obviously, stating the glaringly obvious. However, this is what they call, if I can remember it, a unifoliate. And there are other unifoliates, not just Streptocarpus, but a unifoliate, as the name suggests, is a plant that only produces one leaf. Isn't that bizarre? I could do a whole video on that. I'm going to have to look it up and really find out what's going on with it properly. But this leaf, believe it or not, on Streptocarpus can get to about 1 metre long. And it has some gorgeous blooms on it as well. So I can't wait for that to get going. At the moment, it's just kind of sitting there. I've only had it about 2 or 3 days, doing nothing, but I'm sure at some point it will really show its thing. So I'm going to start us off over here with this rather nice Tradescantia zebrina, looking particularly attractive at the moment with its lovely burgundies, purples, silvers on the foliage there. And you'll notice this one has a nice long dangly few stems there with not so many burbits at the top. And this is something I've noticed quite recently actually. If I just turn you around here, over here I've got red jewel, and red jewel I find, especially when it's in a really small pot like that, we tend to get these, the top ends of the stems, the leaves crisp up and they drop off, and the rest of it looks fine. So I've started kind of experimenting with it. You can see there's a bit of a couple of crispy ones there. So what I've started doing, rather than just like cut the lot off and leave it with no leaves, because when I've done that in the past, it just hasn't, it's just died off. You've got to leave some leaves on there. So I've just done the odd one. So I've done that one there, I've done another one there, and it does seem to be working in as much as it's, see some new leaves forming at the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a little bit longer to see what happens to these two, and if it works the way I want it to, then I will start to, every so often I'll cut one off and I'll leave the rest of them on and see if I can get it to kind of re-sprout higher up. I mean, basically really it needs a bigger pot. I think I've proven time again that this is what happens. If I look over here on this one again, you can see it's looking quite nice up and down, but as you get closer to the end there, at the top, sorry, you can see that the leaves again are crisping up near the top. Again, I think it's because it's a really small pot. And if I just take you through here to the cooler side, and it is a lot cooler in here today, beautiful zebrina, great at the top, loads of foliage, but it's a big pot. So that could be partly what's going on there. So we'll just go back over into the warmer side and I'll show you some more things of interest. So this over here is Eschinanthus hot flash. I think I can pronounce it now. So this is a trailer, and I got this from, I think it was Dibley's, or was it Fibrex? It was one of the two. I think it could have been Dibley's. And great blooms, really attractive, but they're just about beginning to go over now. So I'm hoping that once they go, we'll start getting some vegetative growth, because it's supposed to be a trailer, so I would like it to hang down here. Okay, so what have we got? I would really like, and I showed this in my fern video quite recently, so this is Phlebodium aureum divana. I'm wondering whether that will go on a mount. That's what I want to try, it on a mount. There's no reason why not. They're epiphytic, they grow up in the branches and the trees, so it should grow perfectly well up there. So we're showing you some blooms. So obviously we've got the No ID Phalaenopsis. These two down here are looking particularly nice at the moment. Well, two spikes, it's only one Phalaenopsis. Again, no ID one, sister gave me that one, looking really attractive. It's a shame I'm doing this video a little bit too soon. The Zygopetalum is just about to come out in bloom. I've got 2 spikes on it this year. I'm really pleased that that's worked this year. It did start to show some signs of distress last year because I kept it in the cooler side. The watering I haven't found to be a problem. As soon as the temperatures are up, and I'm keeping it as a minimum of 18 degrees, not found any problems keeping this one a problem with the watering. I just basically wait until the pot is almost dry and then I give it a water. Sometimes that's taken a few weeks. Certainly this time of year it's taken probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks for that to happen, and it seems perfectly fine. The problems happen with Zygopetalum when you let that temperature drop. For me, it was going down to 12. It not only has problems with the roots, but with Zygopetalum, it also gives you problems with the foliage. They get little droplets of water on the foliage, and that does seem to create like rotting on the leaves. So we've still got this beautiful Epicatleya in bloom. It really is a nice plant. It's very, very vigorous. We've got lots of new growths coming, and I just can't get around to repotting it. I know I've shown you this before, but honestly, on a daily basis, these things are getting longer and longer and longer, and I really want to repot it. But of course, blooms are better, aren't they? As long as it's got blooms on it, I suppose. The main issue with it is it keeps falling over. Okay, so we've got our Brassica. This is very reliable for me, looking a lot better since I burnt those leaves back in spring. I've managed to get it looking nice again now. We've got rid of all the old yellowing ones. We've got some nice new growths on it. It does have a scent to it. So this is Brassica Orange Delight, and this was one of my first orchids that I bought, so I'm really pleased with that. That's looking nice again now. So of course, as usual, I can't have a what's in bloom video without going along my Mastervalia Sanderi. Still looking great. Last year I think it stopped flowering for about 6 weeks. I think it was like could have been March, February, March time, something like that. You know, the worst kind of weather that we've got. I found with Mastervalia the temperature makes a huge difference, because the cuttings that I took from this, it's bloomed. I've got 3 cuttings, they've all bloomed, but they've kept very compact. I've not had one twining, climbing stem on it. Whereas the Mastervalia, and I've got another one over here. So this one over here, that's a very new one, and this one has a climbing stem. I don't know if I can reach over and show you a bloom. There you go, that's a nice one, isn't it? So this one is hint of pink, and it does have a hint of pink in certain lights. I don't know if you can see, if it's coming out on here, if you can see it on the video. So yeah, that's looking good. What else have we got in bloom? Can't wait for the Laelia anceps. But over here we've got the, I don't know how to pronounce this, Bilara Purple Princess. So this, I think, is also a Cambria. But yeah, it's a nice blooms. There's a lot going on there, isn't there? A lot of patterning going on there, and I think I probably got it. I bought it just as these blooms had possibly been out for quite a while, so they are going over pretty soon. So you may have seen this one. So this is my one and only no, I say not one and only. I've got 2 Cymbidiums. So I've got Cymbidium. This one is Erythrostylus crossed with Dianum variety Simonsianum. Bit of a mouthful. I don't know why they can't give these things nice easy names. It's growing on me, definitely. I remember it last year. I had it outside last year, and it got battered by the wind and the rain, and I didn't really get to appreciate it properly. There's no scent to it, unfortunately. This one, somebody mentioned this was cresting. I don't know what that means. I couldn't find it on the internet. I must admit I didn't give it a great deal of time. So this is, I think I said it was a Pilea, and it's not. So this is a Peperomia caperata Lillian. I don't know what cresting means. It's I don't know what these. I mean, I guess the blooms of some sort, but they're not like blooms I've ever seen. There doesn't appear to be, you know, the usual parts of a flower. I can't see anything unless something opens up. Perhaps people who own these Peperomia things can fill me in on that one. So what else have we got of interest over here? I'm still waiting for this Miltoniopsis Newton Falls to give me a spike, but I'm sure it is going to. It's looking really healthy, so I'm sure it's going to. So over here we've got Begonia Whitey. These have lasted ages, he says, coming apart. So we've got Streptocarpus DS Frippit, that's still going strong. That's the Pink Layla. That's a nice one, isn't it? That one is Harlequin Sapphire, Harlequin Chocolate. The Begonia, that's one looking really nice foliage plant. This one with the purple on it is DS Caramel. What have we got here? This one is Harlequin Dawn. Now this one here, believe it or not, has won the RHS Plant of the Decade. Now what an accolade. So, you know, not just Streptocarpus of the Decade, Plant of the Decade. It's got to be good for that, hasn't it? I mean, it's a lovely, lovely plant. I'm not quite sure what criteria they used, and I'm quite sure there's some orchid people might argue with that. But Plant of the Decade, out of all of the plants, this one is the best of the decade. So you better get yourself one. This one's going to bloom. I don't think they're anything to write home about. I think it's the foliage on this one that's of interest anyway, isn't it? Forget what that's called. Listarda, Begonia Listarda. A couple more over here. So we've got Harlequin Purple there. And then in that corner we have, I'm trying to find the label. Oh, Lace, I think it is. Yeah, Harlequin Lace. Again, move along. So a new one that you won't have seen. So this is another of my, it's just come from my wish list. So this is another Twinkle. So I've got this Twinkle here. This is the one that my one and only Twinkle video is on, which did really, really well actually. It had the blackening from the, you know, the real heat that we got this year, and it doesn't seem to have bothered it in the slightest. And of course I did mount it as well. That was a new thing that happened to it, but it's got loads of spikes on, so that's going to be great. So I got this one really imaginatively called Oncidium Twinkle Yellow. I think they'd have come up with something better than that, you know, something like Yolk or something. I don't know, anything better than just yellow. Now whether that's just the seller that's added that onto it, but it's a really nice smell. And this is what I said this on that other video, the Twinkles, the scent on the Twinkles, for me anyway, is even stronger and more powerful than the Oncidium Sherry Baby. A little Mastervalia Snowbird, it throws like sporadic blooms up, and it's thrown this one up, but this isn't, it's real blooming. It's real blooming for me anyway, as all has taken place like early in the year, like February, March, April time, that kind of thing. I did repot both these Mastervalias and they seem to be doing fine since I repotted them. My Epidendrum Comet Valley is just about hanging on to a couple of blooms there, but all the leaves are turning black and falling off. Now I've never had an Epidendrum bloom for so long, and like I've not seen the aftermath of it, so whether they do that naturally I don't know. I thought it could have been the sun, and I've moved it over to a slightly more shady spot, but it's still losing the leaves, and we'll have to see what happens with that. My other Epidendrum is about to bloom. Nepenthes over here, so we've got Nepenthes Gaia. This has given me tons and tons of lovely colourful pictures. They just keep coming and coming and coming, and over the winter I'm hoping that it doesn't, I mean it's going to slow down, but I'm hoping it doesn't slow down too much because it is really, really attractive. I recently discovered there was a big slug over here that was eating my cyclamen. I came in this morning, I found 2 slugs. I'm going to do some beer traps, but the only problem is I don't drink beer, so I have to wait till I get hold of some beer from somewhere. I still really like that one. I've repotted that one this morning. It was in a tiny, tiny little pot, and it was drying out too quickly. So the Oncidium Sherry Baby, looking fabulous now, smelling glorious, really nice plant. I'm not sure whether this is sweet fragrance. I'm not sure whether it's got any more scent than my other Sherry Baby, to be honest, the other one that hasn't actually produced any spikes this year. But I mean, you know, it's lovely to have them in the greenhouse anyway, regardless. The scent might not be as much as it is. I think really it needs a little bit of sun coming through the greenhouse roof. I think that would really release the scent more. And unfortunately, in October and November and December in the north of the UK, the sun is pretty low in the sky and unlikely to provide much warmth. So another one that they gave me, so this is Phragmopediumane's Worthy Eye. Again, I've been really happy with this. I've got tons of bang for the buck with this because it's just kept throwing out bloom after bloom after bloom. I guess that's what you call successional blooming. My Cambria, again, I'll put a card up on the video for my Cambria. According to Michael, some of you might know him, this is Peggy Ruth Carpenter, and it does indeed look like Peggy Ruth Carpenter. And despite the spike that I snapped off it inadvertently, the 3 remaining spikes are looking fabulous. So yeah, that other epidendrum, that's it over there, and it's throwing another one up, which is a real surprise. Another dendrobium there. This was one of my first ones. In fact, I think I've still got the picture of this on my channel, the channel thumbnail. So this was one of my very first orchids. Again, just if you're from the UK, it's a B&Q one. I'm sure you know what I mean. Just if you're not from the UK, then it's just like a hardware store bought one. Another one here. Now I found this cyclamen here. I might have mentioned this on another video. I found that it's there again. Look, I thought it might be botrytis, like the bottom of the stems. There we go, rotting off. But you know what it was? It was a slug, and I found, well, I think it was a slug. It was actually a little kind of slug-like creature, but it had wrapped itself in like a bit of a web, like a bit of webbing. Very strange, never seen it before, but I did get rid of it. Now whether that damage, see, look, no, I'm gonna have to really have another close look at that later tonight. I'll have to come in and have a look at it. So loads of Streptocarpus still in bloom over here. We've still got a few down there. We've still got these looking a little bit worse now. This is Fuchsia deltacera. My bougainvillea still in bloom, losing a few leaves now. I do appear to have saved this now. It was just simply that it needed a lot more water than I was giving it. I moved it over. See, I got used to watering it in the slightly cooler temperatures, so I moved it over. Even now it feels a little bit floppy. I'm going to have to give it another water. At this 18 degrees at the moment, it's really, really lapping up the water. These yellowing parts, they were yellowing before, so I may remove those. But yeah, it's looking a lot more healthy now. But again, as I say, it's losing a bit of turgidity there. This is still looking absolutely fantastic. So this is Miltoniopsis Newton Fall. Shown it many times. So that's one spike on it there. We've got another spike there, that's 2. There's another one there, that's 3. Another one there, that's 4. And would you believe there is another one which I destroyed down there somewhere, just down there. And unfortunately, because it was kind of stuck between the leaves, so I thought I'll just release it, and in doing that, I broke it off. Oh dear me, never mind. Some massive pictures here. Look at that. I think this is definitely my biggest picture on this Rebecca Soper cultivar. I mean, that is a huge picture for me anyway. I've not had one so big before, so that's just about to pop. They're definitely putting loads. I don't know if you saw my carnivorous plants video, but these are definitely putting loads more on than they've ever done at this time of year. That one a lot more than that one, which is exactly the same plant. This is losing some of its older pictures. A new one there. I don't know if there's any more. There's another new one at the back coming there. It's only a tiddy one. This mounted Phlebodium seems very, very happy now. I think that's quite a nice little talking point there. Begonia luxurians, again, didn't like the cold. It's losing another leaf there by the looks of it, so I guess temperature played a part, but even though it's got the grow lights, this one is only a 600 as opposed to 1,000. I don't know what those numbers mean exactly. I think they're just kind of abstract numbers that the light manufacturer has come up with, but they do signify some kind of difference in light intensity. So this one isn't as bright as the other one. I don't think the lumens or what is it, nits? I don't know what it is for light. I don't know what the measurement is. Beautiful no ID Cattleya. This is the first time it's bloomed for me since I bought it well over 12 months ago. I don't know what it is. It's a no ID one, but absolutely beautiful fragrance on it. So I'll open that up if anybody knows what that might be. It's nice to have a name for these things, especially if you just bought a new label machine. It's nice to be able to put on what it is. This still going. I can't even remember what it's called. So this is, I don't even know how you say that. Brassido Steely Gilded Tower Mystic Maize. I believe that is like a hybrid of about 6 or 7 different genera of plants. And I did put something like this on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, get over it into my description and you'll be able to find a link to my Instagram, so you'll see lots of beautiful photos. That's coming off, definitely, won't leave that on. This is the problem when you go around looking at things, you want to start tidying things up. So that's going to get a repot when we're finished, but it's still in bloom. Yeah, me kind of thoughts were, when I found out that this was made up from 6 or 7 different genera, it's gorgeous, there's no scent to it, it's a lovely bloom, but it's like a Frankenstein plant, isn't it? It's not really, it would never actually occur in the wild. I think the chances of that happening are infinitesimally small. Is that a real word? Infinitesimally? Sounds right. It's very small anyway. I don't think it could happen. It's been done in a test tube in a lab, and that kind of puts a different aspect on things for me. I do wonder whether I should try and focus a little bit more on species and natural crosses rather than these Frankenstein plants. I don't know, I think a lot of growers tend to go that way, don't they, as they develop on the journey of growing. So that little bloom there, I do have a name for this one now. It's still carrying on, just about. Phalaenopsis Long Pride Goldstaff. Thanks to Michael for that one. It's been in bloom for a year, and it's going to start again. And what actually made that come really, really good was getting rid of the moss. I had too much moss on it. It's looking better now. Some of those yellow leaves dropped off, and these leaves are looking a lot nicer. Well, you know, this is one that is always in bloom. Again, there was some chat about what this was called. I did have a big long name for it, but it turns out that name, there is a part of this plant, I think it's the Laeliocattleya Janet Sparkle. So this is Epicattleya volcano trick crossed with Laeliocattleya Janet Sparkle, but the Janet Sparkle part doesn't seem to exist anymore. Is that a slug trail? No, I think it's just a little bit of nectar. I thought it was a slug trail for a minute. Gosh, I don't ever seem to get out to check on the slugs anymore, because it would mean waking Fudge, my puppy, up, and I don't want to wake him up. So I kind of miss things. So there may well be slugs dotted around the place on a night. So anyway, yeah, it seems when you do a search, it seems that the Janet Sparkle hybrid doesn't seem to exist. But yet, when you search for this exact plant, there are lots of references to it where people have it. So it must have existed at one point, but for some reason it doesn't anymore. So I don't know. And the Epicattleya is now something like Epicatanthe, something like that. So basically, I'm just going to call it Bob, because frankly, it's just too difficult to come up with some kind of name for it. It's very frustrating, because it's nice to get the absolute, to know exactly what it is you've got. But this is the thing with hybrids, they get so complicated and so complex, and practically none of them are something that could even remotely occur in the wild, even if all the conditions were absolutely perfect for it. So it does make me wonder. Well, anyway, I mean, it's a beautiful plant. It would be nice to have a bit of fragrance in it, but you can't have everything. So there's my little Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii. All these things need a water, it seems. So this one is Dendrobium sulawesiense crossed with Cuthbertsonii crossed with sulawesiense. I'm not going to read all these out because they just go on and on. Alcidium Twinkle, looking great, smelling great. Another of the Cuthbertsonii hybrids, another one there. This begonia, curly fire flush, doesn't seem to mind these temperatures. I know there's one leaf going a little bit there, but the others seem fine, seem quite happy in these temperatures down to 12. And this was the one that I actually bought it as Masoniana. It's actually Solim mutata, which, to be honest, I actually prefer. So that's okay, I don't mind that. This is nice when it's got the sun on it. It kind of refracts the light. Refract, is that their thing? I think it's refraction. Or is that something to do with through water? I can't remember my high school physics. Silver Jewel, Begonia Silver Jewel, looking nice, that's okay in these temperatures. It's funny how some of these begonias don't seem to mind and some of them really complain. Over here we have a close-up of my Berkii. I mean, that is, how can you not like that? Look at all the nectar on the inside. if you was an insect, you would be so drawn to all that sugary nectar, and then you would end up in there. Let's see if I can show you inside. There you go. Once in, then that's it, you're stuck, and my fingers are all sticky now. Okay, so we know this is always out, this is, and there's another new growth coming on it there. So this is my Oncidopsis, Bruguera Oncidopsis. You've seen the cyclamen quite recently, if you watch that. The Sherry Baby's still going, and my Berryoda is about to bloom. I did wonder why it only seemed to have the spikes around the sides, on these canes around the sides. I thought, that's strange, because when I bought it, the whole thing was in bloom. But I think what's happening is just some of them are a little bit slower to come than others. So there are spikes on some of these other growths as well. They're just not quite as quick. Not all of them, I have to say. There is like a section in the middle where there's nothing coming. And whether they'll come yet or not, they might do. Fragmentpedia Mainsworthy Eye, still at it, ready for its final hurrah, I think. Cyclamen. Gorgeous Oncidium Sotuanum. Looking much better than I anticipated for this year. Lovely Twinkle in bloom up there. That Mandevilla is still going strong. I mean, this Pelargonium, it's an ID Pelargonium. This is a better show than it had even in the middle of August. No idea why. Temperatures are a lot cooler. These normally like to bake, but for some reason it's just doing really well in the middle of January, which is a little bit bizarre. Epidendrum Ballerina. Again, this is its second blooming this year. I can't remember what month it bloomed, but it was like early in, when I say early, probably springtime in 2020. For lockdown number 1, that's probably when most people remember it. In lockdown number 1, it bloomed, and now it's blooming in lockdown number 3, for us anyway, here in the UK. Oh, and this other begonia. So this one is begonia fuchsioides, because it looks like a fuchsia. It's got quite a few yellowing leaves. I'm guessing that's the temperatures, and it's roughly about 1.5 meters, maybe. No, about a meter. No, what would you say that is? About 1.25 meters tall, maybe. Well, it's got some nice blooms on it. They're just dropping off there.